The rap community has been absolutely buzzing after a brand new video featuring Gucci Mane dropped, sending shockwaves through the scene. This isn't just any clip. It came straight from federal prosecutors tied to a highly publicized case involving Gucci's former artist, and now, the industry's biggest names are picking sides like never before. You'll want to stick around because the twist here involves a legendary producer, someone many looked up to, who surprisingly turned their back on Gucci Mane amidst all the drama. Let's dive deep into this explosive footage, break down every detail, and explore who in the hip-hop world is weighing in on it right now. The clip itself is a quick burst, just 27 seconds, but it's packed with tension. It first surfaced when DJ Academics posted it online, and by the time most people caught wind of it, it had already racked up over 1.5 million views, proving just how hungry the community was for answers. The video shows Gucci Mane standing in what looks like a recording studio. The room's dark walls and polished light wood floors create a stark contrast to Gucci's outfit, a striking bright yellow hoodie paired with matching sweatpants, making the scene visually unforgettable. The footage is shaky, definitely shot on a phone, which adds an eerie rawness to it, something you wouldn't usually expect from taped industry moments. According to the prosecutors, the person holding the camera is rapper Big 30, closely linked to Pooh Shiesty. Here's where the story heats up. Federal prosecutors released this exact video, captured by Big 30, which appears to show Gucci Mane being pressured into officially cutting Pooh Shiesty loose from his record label contract. The tension could almost be felt through the shaky screen. In the clip, a man identified in court records as RD walks toward a nearby door, only to be confronted by DeMarcus Glover, who pulls out a firearm, shaking the scene's entire energy. Following that intense introduction, Pooh Shiesty, real name Dontrell Williams, tells Davis to speak directly to the camera and say that Gucci Mane has dropped him from the label. The chilling audio in the background backs up this moment, with Gucci Mane reportedly saying something close to, "Pooh Shiesty dropped from 1017, effectively confirming Shiesty's release from the label contract. Court documents go even further, revealing more of what was allegedly said in that tense room. According to prosecutors, Shiesty instructs Gucci Mane to "let them know you dropping me," adding with emphasis, "real nah, ain't never did no police sit or none of that, tell them what's going on." This line adds another layer of complexity, hinting at deeper tensions beyond just the contract itself. The video's impact rippled quickly through the hip-hop world. One of the first major reactions came from Freddie Gibbs, an artist known for being straightforward and fearless in his opinions. Gibbs was seen in a viral clip, sitting in his car while listening to Gucci Mane's response track, visibly puzzled. He wasn't buying the official story at all. Captioning his reaction video, Gibbs wrote, "This sabat's gotta be AI," expressing disbelief and confusion. He famously quipped, "Nas snitched on a Zaytoven beat," drawing connections that felt surreal to many. Coming from Freddie Gibbs, someone who never holds back on calling things as he sees them, this reaction spread like wildfire, fueling more debates across social media. Adding to the chorus, YSL Woody, who had already been outspoken about the situation even before the footage went public, doubled down once the clip exploded online. His earlier comments and current stance have only stoked the fire, keeping the case at the center of hip-hop conversations everywhere. And with the clip continuing to circulate, more voices are expected to jump into the discussion as the story unfolds. As the deadlines pressed in, Woody took to social media, firing off his unfiltered reaction. He had already spoken about Pooh Shiesty's incarceration, expressing both sympathy and a firm stance on holding him responsible for his alleged role in the events. But his latest response was sharp and to the point. "I, Gucci Mane, you ain't did nothing wrong, you won." It was a decisive statement that didn't leave much room for debate. Meanwhile, Boozy Badass, the witness for the YSL RICO trial, was no stranger to this conversation. Ever since the diss track hit the airwaves, Boozy had been vocal about his feelings. His disappointment was palpable, and he wasn't shy about sharing it either. The responses to Gucci Mane's diss aimed at Pooh Shiesty were overwhelmingly mixed, but leaning more toward the critical side. Boozy, despite his long-standing respect for Gucci Mane overall, made it clear that he wasn't happy with how Gucci Mane had chosen to handle the fallout in public. When a camera crew from Academics TV caught up to Boozy, all he managed to say about the track was a simple yet loaded SMH, shaking his head in disbelief. So, there you have it. 3 different rappers, 3 very distinct perspectives, all responding to the same video and the fallout it triggered. One called it a stunt, 2 saw it as a win for Gucci Mane, and another just shook his head in disappointment. That snapshot perfectly captures the current mood and tension buzzing through hip-hop around this controversy. But to really grasp why this video struck such a nerve, you've got to rewind and dig into the very room where it was recorded. That room holds the key to understanding everything that happened, and why the footage has become so much more than just a music video. According to federal prosecutors, all of this chaos began with what seemed like a perfectly normal invitation. They claim Pusciesti extended an invite to Gucci Mane for what appeared to be a straightforward meeting about business at a Dallas recording studio on January 10th. But what Gucci Mane walked into was anything but typical. Prosecutors paint a chilling picture. Inside the studio, Schiesti, along with Big 30, Schiesti's father, DeMarcus Glover, and 6 other co-defendants, allegedly turned on Gucci Mane and his team, holding them at gunpoint. What was supposed to be a routine meeting about record deals turned into a terrifying trap. The government's account describes how, once Gucci Mane was inside, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The group allegedly forced him to sign a document, a contract release form, that supposedly freed Gucci Mane from ownership of an astounding 1,017 records. But it didn't stop there. After coercing Gucci Mane into signing the papers, the group allegedly robbed him and his associates of jewelry, watches, cash, and other valuable possessions. This detail is crucial because it transforms the meaning of that video from a simple record of a business disagreement gone wrong into an alleged criminal act camouflaged as legal paperwork. Federal prosecutors have charged that Schiesti and his co-conspirators not only pulled weapons, but also barricaded Gucci Mane's team inside the studio while intimidating them into signing those releases. What started as a regular day in the music business morphed into something far more sinister. And that's exactly why this video has sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. The man at the center of this controversy stands accused of swiping expensive jewelry, luxury Rolex watches, and a significant amount of cash amid what's being described as a tense altercation. But here's the thing. The video evidence we have isn't a full play-by-play. Think of it like a fleeting glimpse, a snapshot that captures only a sliver of the entire encounter. It doesn't clearly show the whole robbery, nor does it definitively reveal the firearm being brandished. Instead, the 27-second clip zooms in on the standoff itself, and more specifically, on the act of recording that intense moment, rather than documenting the entire incident from start to finish. Yet, this brief footage aligns closely with what's already been outlined in the official case files. Court documents include still images taken straight from the video, showing a figure, identified as DeMarcus Glover, holding what appears to be a firearm while positioned next to Gucci Mane. The role of Big 30, whose real name is Rodney Wright, is pivotal here. He's accused of being the one behind the camera, physically blocking the studio door as the drama unfolded. According to the complaint, Big 30 recorded a key moment when Davis verbally announced that Williams was being released from his contract. So, the guy filming isn't just a bystander. He's directly implicated in the events and faces charges connected to the case as well. This dual involvement adds an extra layer of weight and significance to the footage when it comes to its impact in court. But there's more than just video evidence at play. Central to this saga is a written contract tied to that very afternoon's events. Last week, prosecutors revealed they'd secured a copy of the document Gucci Mane was allegedly forced to sign. Physical, undeniable proof that ties back to the moments caught on camera. Alongside the contract, there's a recorded confession that echoes the same narrative, reinforcing the story from multiple angles. Gucci Mane didn't stay silent about what happened either. Months before the trial began, he channeled his experience into music, releasing a diss track aimed at Pusciesti called Crash Dummy. The song, layered over a Zaytoven-produced beat, tells his side of the story in vivid detail. Gucci raps clearly about the incident that shook him, a supposed business meeting that was anything but. "I thought it was a business meeting, but it was a setup," he spits, painting a vivid picture of the moment the trap snapped shut. He describes the tension rising the instant he walked into the room. "You can feel the pressure building. Dap me up. The whole time, they're plotting against me." Despite the betrayal, he stresses he doesn't take it personally, framing it as purely business. This line, "It was a setup," bridges the dramatic footage and the music, merging real-life events with artistic expression. Gucci Mane narrates the story months later, tracing the exact scene the camera caught unfolding in real time. And that's exactly why this brief but explosive video stirred so much attention, spreading rapidly online and fueling the conversation around this extraordinary incident. People weren't just hearing a fresh tale unfold, they were witnessing a story they already knew, but now it had a face and a gun pointed right at it. The sense of betrayal here cut even deeper than the actual robbery itself, because Pooh Shiesty was far from a random intruder barging into that studio. He was directly linked to Gucci Mane, signed to Gucci's own label, 1017 Records. This wasn't an outsider or a rival storming the scene. Pooh Shiesty came on board in 2020, making waves with tracks like Hell Night, and gathering serious momentum from the So Icy Summer compilation, as well as his breakthrough project, Shiesty Season, in 2021. What made this situation feel almost surreal was that Gucci Mane, known for trimming down his roster and letting most 1017 artists go, chose to hold on to Pooh Shiesty. Shiesty was one of the few Gucci kept close, a trusted ally in the label's inner circle. That context made the footage all the more shocking. This wasn't some faceless rival making a move. It was someone Gucci had personally supported and elevated to stardom. When the video started making its rounds online, reactions didn't just stay bottled up in scattered comment sections. They exploded across the music world, moving as fast and virally as the clip itself. But what people really debated wasn't about whether something actually went down in that studio. The real conversation was about what it meant for Gucci Mane to openly talk about it afterward, especially in public spaces like songs. Here's where Freddie Gibbs's reaction becomes particularly worth analyzing. His confusion wasn't about doubting that a robbery took place. Instead, it centered on Gucci's decision to publicly address it in a track. Gibbs famously suggested that the verse must have been generated by AI, not because he questioned the incident, but because he could hardly believe Gucci would put such raw details into a song, especially over a beat as unmistakably tied to Zaytoven as the one Gucci used. This tension between acknowledging the reality of what happened and wrestling with the unspoken code around how those events should be discussed runs through much of the backlash and commentary. Everyone seemed to agree on the facts shown in the footage, but opinions were sharply divided over the implications of calling it out so openly. That same uneasy energy carried into how fans and the public responded to the song Crash Dummy itself. Even before the video leaked, the response to the track was mixed, mostly centered around debates online about whether Gucci was stepping over a line by snitching on Pooh Shiesty. One of the top comments under the video captured the divide perfectly, saying, "This is the hardest witness statement out right now." That comment precisely captured the divide rippling through the hip-hop community, between those amazed by Gucci's bluntness and those uncomfortable with the breach of an unspoken loyalty. Freddie Gibbs, Boozy Badazz, and YSL Woody all found themselves somewhere along this spectrum, each reacting differently. Freddie Gibbs's stance came off more confused and incredulous, while Boosie's response carried a heavier weight of disappointment, like watching a respected figure break an unwritten rule that many in the culture hold sacred. Imagine someone who grew up in a time when handling serious matters meant keeping things behind closed doors, away from cameras or microphones. For this person, watching Gucci Mane unravel the whole situation so openly in a verse, even after being robbed at gunpoint, felt deeply unsettling. It wasn't just any kind of disapproval. When Boozy shook his head, it carried an undeniable weight that resonated through the rap community. But then, there's YSL Woody, whose perspective is strikingly different from both. Woody isn't speaking from speculation or loyalty. He's talking from experience, from the inside of his own legal battles. His understanding comes from having lived through the aftermath of testimony and cooperation firsthand. So, when Woody weighed in, his insight wasn't on traditions of silence or codes within the streets. Instead, it was pure, cold calculation. Gucci had been robbed. The video showed it clearly, and the trial was already leaning in Gucci's favor. To Woody, there was simply no room left for debate. Gucci came out on top, and that's why his reaction felt almost like a final verdict among the commentary. It wasn't about taking a moral stance, but about recognizing who truly gained the upper hand. But here's a voice that often slips under the radar in all this noise. Rallo, someone even more intimately connected with the situation. Early on, Rallo pushed back against the idea that Gucci had cooperated with police, standing firmly against those snitching claims. Yet, as new details emerged, he reversed his position publicly and offered an apology to Pooh Shiesty for initially denying those allegations. This turnaround only reinforced the idea that the footage wasn't just stirring controversy, it was shifting opinions, even among those who were initially skeptical or defensive. What's fascinating is how unanimous one fact remains across all these voices. No one is denying the footage exists, and nobody is arguing against what it clearly shows. Instead, the entire debate splits into two different paths happening simultaneously. What this means for Gucci Mane's reputation, and what it means for the legal case itself. Those are separate conversations running side by side, both thrust into the spotlight by this video clip. And make no mistake, this whirlwind unfolded faster than anyone expected. The clip didn't sit buried for weeks. It triggered reactions within hours, igniting a firestorm of discussion across social media and beyond almost instantly after it appeared. This lightning-fast circulation highlights a modern reality where a 27-second video can reach millions of eyes before news outlets officially weigh in on its authenticity. In fact, the responses from the rappers themselves became headline news, racing alongside the clip in the unfolding story. DJ Academics, the one who posted the video, has now become almost like a central figure in this rapidly moving drama, connecting raw, unfiltered moments to a global audience hungry for every unfolding detail. Picture this: a single, central hub capturing every twist and turn of this unfolding drama, snagging Gibbs' puzzled reactions, picking up every sharp word from Woody, and even catching Boosie's raw response to the track that sparked it all. This one channel became the beating heart of how the rap world absorbed and digested the entire saga. And what does that reveal? It highlights exactly how controversies ripple through 2026's digital landscape, not through traditional press conferences or official statements, but through rapid-fire Instagram stories, viral clips, and real-time reposts that instantly spark debate and shape opinions. Long before the viral video surfaced, there was an arrest that set everything in motion. But why was Pooh Shiesty even there in that Dallas recording studio to begin with? And why has his story captivated so many? This wasn't just some artist tossed into headlines for a random mishap. Shiesty was already no stranger to the legal system. Back in 2022, he admitted guilt on a federal firearms conspiracy charge, and after spending some time behind bars, he was released in October 2025, albeit under strict house arrest conditions in Frisco. Yet, barely a quarter of a year later, the wheels of the next case were turning against him. Here's where it takes an even more serious turn. Prosecutors say Williams, Shiesty's real last name, orchestrated a supposed business meeting in Dallas with another figure, Davis, to hammer out terms for a recording contract. This wasn't a casual meetup. What followed were grave allegations: kidnapping, robbery, extortion against Williams, his father, and 7 others, all dating back to January 10th. 9 people facing some of the most severe charges anyone could imagine, all grounded in what initially seems like nothing more than a short video clip, barely half a minute long. One of the most bizarre twists: how was Shiesty even out of his house? He was supposed to be locked down under house arrest, serving time for a gun charge. But prosecutors argue that things unraveled at a deeper level. They claim Williams had an inappropriate connection with his own case supervisor, the very person responsible for keeping tabs on him. This supervisor allegedly fabricated day passes, allowing Shiesty to leave his confinement for unapproved destinations, including that infamous day in Dallas. The fallout for the case manager was swift. Court documents confirm they have since been dismissed. This revelation pushes the story beyond a straightforward celebrity clash or rap rivalry. It exposes a fragile system, One where someone under strict legal supervision might slip through the cracks, permitted to roam freely when they shouldn't, only to allegedly commit an even graver offense. But the drama didn't end there. Shisti's team was quick to respond, challenging the government's narrative fiercely, and right from the start, it seemed like they might have found a crack in the prosecution's armor. Local Dallas station WFAA reported on the early Department of Justice complaint, and the details that followed suggested this case would be anything but simple. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence, drawing from numerous sources, yet something crucial was conspicuously absent. No witness testimonies were included at that point. The initial case against Shisti relied heavily on a patchwork of indirect clues. His electronic probation monitor's location data placed him nearby. Cell phone records and rental car logs suggested his movement patterns. Latent fingerprints hinted at his presence. Surveillance cameras caught fragments of activity. And social media posts even showcased some of the allegedly stolen items. It was a dense mosaic of circumstantial proof, but the smoking gun everyone expected, a clear, definitive video capturing Shisti in the act, simply hadn't surfaced yet. This glaring absence of direct footage became the defense's strongest weapon. Shisti's attorneys framed the situation as a classic he said, she said scenario, emphasizing the lack of concrete proof, tying him unequivocally to the crime. Meanwhile, prosecutors pushed a different narrative, painting Shisti as a flight risk, a dangerous element who had no official permission to be in Dallas at all. That argument held some sway initially. On a tense Wednesday afternoon, a judge decided Shisti would remain locked up throughout the investigation, reluctant to let him out until the case gained more clarity. Still, the defense didn't back down. They hammered repeatedly on the prosecution's failure to produce that all-important video. In a revealing moment early on, under oath, an FBI agent made a surprising admission. Special Agent Pamela Hansen, speaking during Shisti's detention hearing, confirmed that the FBI didn't actually have the alleged contract, or that critical video footage showing Davis and others. Even more surprising, no interviews had yet taken place with Davis or the other supposed victims, though they were scheduled to happen later. This confession instantly became the core of the defense's approach, a pivotal detail they returned to, time and time again. For months, the case stalled in a limbo of uncertainty. No video, no signed contract, no first-hand victim statements, just a tangled web of indirect proof and the weight of an arrest looming over Shisti. Into this thick haze stepped Gucci Mane's diss track, dropping almost like a lightning bolt. He wasn't simply venting frustration through music. He was voicing his side of the story before the government even secured its strongest evidence. In the very same song where Gucci exposed the alleged setup, he peeled back the layers of emotion behind the betrayal. "I done been betrayed, now my heart turned cold," he rapped. "Keep that fake love, I don't want it no more." The rawness of those lines revealed how deeply personal this ordeal had become for him. It's important to remember, Gucci Mane has long had a distinctive approach to conflicts. He opts for resolution through his music rather than confrontation in the streets. Back in 2022, he released a track called "Dissin' the Dead," where he largely turned away from rap battles, even referencing a feud dating back to 2012, when he dissed the deceased friend of rapper Young Jeezy. So airing his version of this present saga in a verse was well within Gucci's established style. It was how he'd always processed tension and disputes, tracing back over a decade of his career. Meanwhile, for months, everything in the case hinged on one burning question. Did that elusive video, the one the public and authorities alike assumed existed, actually exist at all? And if it did, could the prosecutors get their hands on it to seal their case once and for all? That unanswered question hung over the entire investigation like an ominous cloud, driving the tension and uncertainty that surrounded the story every step of the way. The battle unfolded over a series of intense hearings, and it's exactly why the video that finally emerged carries such enormous legal weight today. Early on, the government faced a very clear, troubling problem. They had reason to believe a recording existed, one that could make or break the case. But frustratingly, they couldn't produce it. Prosecutors explained that Big 30, whose real name is Rodney Wright Jr., was allegedly the person who made the recording. But here's the twist. While he was detained, his phone supposedly got damaged beyond repair. A broken phone became the unexpected barrier, standing between the government and the critical piece of evidence they needed to prove their case. This missing link left a massive hole, and the defense pounced on it. They argued loudly and emphatically that the entire prosecution was built on guesswork and speculation. No concrete proof, no solid footage, just assumptions. This became the main thrust of their defense strategy, echoed both inside the courtroom and out in public. Williams' former lead attorney, Bradford Cohen, took every opportunity during an April bond hearing to hammer home the government's failure. No video, no signed contracts, just circumstantial whispers. For several tense months, this argument dominated. The government's key evidence was nowhere to be found, leaving only testimonies and an unconvincing paper trail. Then, as the February 22nd jury trial date loomed, something shifted dramatically. Prosecutors revealed they had been quietly piecing together new evidence behind the scenes. When they returned to court, their tone was unmistakably different. The once open evidentiary gaps, which had been the defense's cornerstone, were now firmly closed. In official court documents, prosecutors declared that the foundation the defense's case was built upon no longer stood. This statement was huge, essentially the government admitting on the record that the defense's biggest advantage was now gone. What followed was a formal and thorough legal filing. After Shiesty's bail was denied in Texas federal court, his attorneys pushed back, filing a motion to review the detention orders. But on June 24th, the government unveiled a comprehensive 25-page response, one obtained and seen by Billboard, detailing what they claimed to have in hand: clear video footage of the alleged armed robbery and kidnapping, and a copy of the release of contract that Monet was allegedly forced to sign under duress. This wasn't just an outline. It was a detailed account laying out the evidence in painstaking detail. On that same day, June 24th, 2026, U.S. Attorney Ryan Raybould formally submitted a robust court memorandum opposing Shiesty's bail, highlighting the video footage as decisive proof against the rapper. Yet, despite these revelations, the defense refused to back down. Fresh legal counsel entered the scene, continuing to assert that appearances can be misleading, even when video evidence is presented. Attorney John Helms, now representing the rapper, has publicly stressed that things are far more complex than they seem on the surface, urging caution and reminding everyone this case is far from over. Often, what appears on camera isn't always the full story, which leaves room for alternative interpretations of what the footage truly reveals. Even when a firearm is visible in the frame, the way events unfold on video can be surprisingly complex, casting doubt on initial assumptions. This is one reason why the leaked clip caused such a powerful ripple effect when it finally surfaced on social platforms. It wasn't just idle rumors or hearsay spreading across the internet. This was the very same footage prosecutors had already presented behind closed courtroom doors, fighting hard to convince a judge not to set Pooh Shiesty free. The clip aligns closely with the screenshots prosecutors recently showed under oath, said to be from the alleged Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane incident. In essence, the public was seeing, for the first time, the exact evidence a federal judge had already reviewed in a sealed environment. Throughout the case, prosecutors have maintained a firm stance, portraying Shiesty not simply as someone caught up in the chaos, but as the mastermind orchestrating the events in that room. Court documents repeatedly calling him the ringleader paint a picture of someone in control, directing the operation rather than passively participating. This characterization carries significant weight. It shapes how a jury might perceive the entire situation, presenting Shiesty not as a bystander, swept up by others, but as the strategic mind behind what unfolded. That distinction could drastically influence the outcome when the case finally reaches trial. Meanwhile, Shiesty and his legal team have held their ground, steadfastly denying every charge against him. He, along with his co-defendants, including his father and Big 30, firmly reject all allegations. This united denial extends to every new court filing, painting a picture of confidence and determination in the face of mounting evidence. Despite the public attention and the sensitive nature of the video footage, the defense insists on their version of events, setting the stage for a fierce legal battle. So, where is this case now? Several months after what began as a regular studio session in Dallas erupted into a high-stakes federal investigation and viral sensation. Pooh Shiesty remains locked up. still behind bars and fighting tooth and nail to secure his release before the trial even begins. Despite multiple motions from his legal team, his status hasn't changed. He's still being held in federal custody, a judge denying bail based largely on the video evidence, the alleged leadership role he played, his past criminal record, and concerns over community safety. Each of these factors has combined to keep him confined for the time being. The date everyone is watching with anticipation is now several months away. Originally scheduled for July, the trial has been pushed back to February 22nd, 2027, a moment when all these pieces of evidence, from raw footage to contract deals, courtroom testimonies to diss track lyrics, will be put to the ultimate test in front of a jury. Gone will be the days of internet speculation. Here, the facts will take center stage in a courtroom showdown with very real consequences. It's important to note, though, that not every individual charged alongside Shiesty is still behind bars. Big 30's journey has taken a different path. Reports indicate he's been released from jail, illustrating the varying outcomes for those involved as the case continues to unfold. In June, a major turning point unfolded when Gucci Mane finally reunited with his family, marking a moment that dramatically shifted the conversations swirling around the case. This isn't just any reunion. It's significant because Gucci Mane is identified by prosecutors as the person who actually held the camera during the events in question. His release doesn't mean the charges against him have vanished or been dropped. Far from it. Instead, it places him back in a position where he can step out from, behind the legal paperwork, and speak for himself directly, something we haven't seen much of in the public eye up to this point. Despite this opportunity, Gucci Mane has remained notably quiet beyond what's already been officially recorded. His music, his past statements, and the information gathered privately by prosecutors. Neither he nor Pooh Shiesty's camp has made any public comments about the explosive new video footage that's been circulating, and this silence has created a vacuum in the narrative. That open space has been quickly filled by other artists in the hip-hop community. Names like Freddie Gibbs, Woody, and Boozy have stepped in to provide their takes and interpretations of where this whole saga is headed. But what's abundantly clear is that the story isn't over. Far from it. From inside and outside the rap world, debates rage on about what might happen next, with conversations about loyalty, trust, and the notorious snitching debates reigniting with every new piece of evidence that surfaces. The discourse evolves, the players shift, and every time a new legal filing drops or another clip comes to light, a fresh wave of voices weigh in, including people who hadn't spoken before. This ongoing dialogue demonstrates the deep impact and wide-reaching interest this case has sparked far beyond just the music community. The business side of this saga remains unresolved as well. Prosecutors have pointed to a January meeting with one likely goal: to push Pooh Shiesty out of his 2017 record deal. This claim has gained new layers of complexity thanks to recently surfaced video footage, one that appears to show Gucci Mane in an Atlanta studio, verbally releasing Shiesty from his contract. What adds a spine-tingling twist to that footage is the presence of an armed individual in the room, standing nearby during these tense moments. The legality of that so-called release is in serious doubt, with many questioning whether an agreement signed under such pressure holds any weight. This legal question could eventually be sorted out in a civil court, entirely separate from the ongoing criminal proceedings. For now, though, the video is out there in the public domain, a permanent, undeniable part of the court record that has been watched by millions, carefully analyzed by legal experts, and provocatively dissected by rappers and fans alike. Each viewer seems to take away something different from the 27 seconds captured inside that Dallas music studio. Some see it as undeniable proof of betrayal, others interpret it as a moment where Gucci Mane emerged victorious, and some are left scratching their heads, wondering how such a private, sensitive situation ended up caught on camera in the first place. But one thing is universally accepted: the people inside that room and the events of that day irrevocably altered the trajectories of not one, but two rap careers. Now, that footage resides securely in a federal case file, quietly waiting for the next chapter in this complex story to unfold. This saga is a powerful reminder that behind the headlines and courtroom drama, real lives and careers hang in the balance, and every new piece of evidence has the power to shift the narrative in unexpected ways. As this story continues to develop, it's a prime example of how the worlds of music, law, and culture collide in moments that captivate us all. If you found this deep dive into the ongoing saga compelling, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for the latest updates, and share this video with friends who want the fullest story. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. What do you think happened in that studio? Your voice is part of the conversation now. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.